Welcome to Atlantic Television Network Society Watch. This is a program with events and societal issues. Give them aggregate attention with a view to profess solutions that will benefit humanity. On today's Society Watch, there are numbers of issues we'll be looking at starting from Lagos State. Court releases man after 15 years without Still on economy, Nigerians not feeling impact of 4.3 trillion naira palliatives. That's from Labour Party. And from Australia, government hikes students' visas fee to curb migration. These are the issues we will be looking at today. When we return from this short break, I will introduce my guests for today's show. Do stay with us.
the workforce and the developmental indices.
Okay.
So, but what I think that the federal government should do is the people are moving away from minimum wage to a living wage. That's why I say a disparity. The minimum wage, how much? How can they even live with you with the first week of the month? Can they do anything? Does it really mean any more? You give them 60,000. What can it? If you go to market, even as a family, head of a family, you give your people money, those who take care of you. At times, they spend over 70,000 just going to market. You don't see what they have bought. And so if you now have a family, you have to pay transport to work and all that. So if you look at the labor, they are not being unreasonable. But federal government is talking of capacity to pay. We can't just agree with you. Then other sectors will completely collapse. So I still think that the federal government can, forget about whether state government can pay or not. When you do, they take loan to do even projects. Though it's not advisable to take loan to pay civil service, but it is to block the leakages. In our public sector, we have so much leakages. And these things are not being addressed. And at times, it's systemic. Even the civil servants who are now, or the workers, who are now, with due respect to them, some of them are facilitating these leakages.
Okay.
So if we close the system a little, and we also become more productive, we generate enough revenue, you know, and the revenues are channeled and accounted for properly. At least they can have a better negotiation. Okay. They can come up to 100. They can come. If you offer this for 100K, 100,000 for minimum wage, I think for a start, since they know that they will be renegotiating from time, they can.
You're saying for a start?
Yes, now they are 30 now. If they are talking 63 or 62, and they bring it to 100,000.
Okay.
I'm quite sure some of the labor people will also say, oh, they have tried, looking at the realities of the economy. But I think what has made the labor look as if they're unreasonable, it is because the leakages and the corruption reports we hear about one individual, what individual can take from the system and become fantastically and fantabulously rich. It's making them feel that these those reasons that are making government think that they cannot pay. That from the revenue being generated and all that, if it is properly managed as a nation, we can have a living wage.
Okay.
So for me, my advice is, it's not just to stand up and say, we cannot meet up, we have not met up. The governors who are only working for 4 years, they have lifetime pension. And if you look at it, it's mind-boggling.
Okay.
The deputy governors they have, the senators and all that they have, and the kind of public information, the kind of money they take monthly, is not what these people are demanding. Though the workforce is few, but this one you are talking of the old civil service and other parastatals. So federal government is afraid to say if we accept this, it means it's going to stop us from doing a lot of things. But that's not the way to think. The way to think is to make the nation to be more productive, because we have a lot of things that can give us revenue.
Okay.
And we manage it, effectively to be able to meet the challenges we have. So for me, I don't think that the labor is outrageous. If we decide to run our nation responsibly, yes, we can. The citizens should be able to have what we call a living wage, and not just a minimum wage.
Okay, as of last 2 weeks, the negotiation of this minimum wage ended on the president's table, and of course they were waiting for the president to come up with something to respond. And so far, like I always said, are still dragging their feet. Why do you think it's very difficult for them to say something? And not that they're not implementing all that
Yes,
things?
it's difficult because I think the president asked the minister in charge of finance, Wale Edu, and a few of them, the people in charge of budget and all that, to come up with an analysis.
What kind of analysis?
Analysis is about the ability to pay and what they should pay. That was where they even came from 60 to 62. And those indices have not changed. That is the revenue they have, the expenditure from their budgeting they have, and also what we call the fiscal, environment, you know, and the inflation and other things. They have seen that if they run into, because of political expediency, if they run into accepting what labor, that eventually, even with the loans they take, they service it, they cannot meet up. And that is what the president has on his table. No matter what labor negotiates or what the labor will talk, he will listen to them, but he will go back to his men in the system. What do we have? Do we have ability? So what they can only tell you back is what realistically we can agree and we can fulfill. That becomes a commitment. And that is what any responsible government should do. But what we are saying is that in as much as we all know, people that are job losses, that are investments that are leaving the country, all because of these same productivity problems, where cost of living, inflation and all that, the people go to countries that are stable and money is money wherever you make it. And so the government is still having more challenges because investments are leaving. I had this ShopRite will be leaving Abuja at the end of this month. A lot, look at our Transamadi has become fallow. Many people are thinking, if the money you make, you use in paying workers. And if you cannot even be in business again, what's the need of keeping the workforce?
Okay.
So you just pay the people who are working off, and you take your business to where you think is viable. So the viability and all that. So what I think government should do, both at the state level and national level, because they have a time frame, they should realistically look, not politically now, they should realistically look at what they can actually offer and pay as minimum wage.
And you think they have not done that so far?
No, that's what the labor is saying now. The labor are those working. They are saying that they are not satisfied because they feel they have ability.
Because since they talked about the 62,000 rather, they have not come up again with another thing. That's what I'm saying. Are you sure they haven't done this?
No. They must have done all these parameters, but government can also take a position in one shift.
Okay.
Even the reason why they are looking at it after the 62, the labor was still threatening to go on strike. And they know that the last time they go on strike, they even shut the national grid.
Yeah.
Which annoyed the government very well and made Nigerians to suffer. So they are also thinking of an effect.
So Nigerians not suffering right now?
No, if Nigerians are suffering, we still have light. You can still, at least, those who have businesses that relate with light, you can still at least have a, but when you, after this kind of work, or you look at your studio now, you begin to run your diesel, what if you cannot get the diesel again? The stations are all closed. There will be breakdown. So, and the government is losing something. The people are losing something. So, they don't want to take labor for granted. But at the same time, I think they want labor to reason that, like the government will tell you, we have increased above 100%. Because they used to be 30. If we have said it's 62 now, we have increased. And again, if you look by percentage, you would think that if somebody is increasing something by 100%, it's actually a great shift in terms of decision. But these people now, that is why I use that word. Instead of minimum wage, this is what we can pay. They say, we are now looking at, living wage. So that even if you don't do it in the rest of our life.
Don't you think that would just be changing names and then the situation remain the same?
No. For instance, let me tell you, that's why some people don't work. They like doing business.
Okay.
If you can determine your income now, you won't be in work forever. You have a time to retire. You can even die on that job. Anything can happen. A retirement and all that is calculated or based on your earnings. So most of the time when they talk of this living wage, they are talking until some of them are already halfway in their employment and all that. They may not stay in the next 10 years to enjoy this. So the calculation they have is that, if I'm going, this will be sustainable. That's the idea. So the ability, now we are marrying the ability of government to be able to pay what they can pay. But government does not have a knife on their throat. They are still in control. Because at the end, the workforce is still people who are under them.
And they will still do what they have to do.
They will still do what they have to do. So the government should come out, which they have come out before to say 62. Labour is saying, they are only telling them we will not end there. Still shift ground. they too have been shifting ground from 500 or 600 and something thousand to 250. So you put your shift up while we're shifting down.
So that will meet us.
So there will be a meeting point,
meeting
a point of convergence, and it will be beautiful. That's also the beauty of trade unions. They are pressure groups.
I remember
so government should sincerely respond.
Someone like Akume said that he cannot pay 100,000 to his drivers. He has 4 drivers, so he can't pay them a sum of 100,000 as a minimum wage. That's quite so much for them. Okay. Well, it's quite funny though. That's just a rhetorical.
Okay, maybe it's a negotiation tool too. When he's saying that, he's telling people that he does not have that kind of money
to pay.
But it's not that realistically, if he wants to pay,
he cannot.
If he cannot even pay, the goodwill he has alone will ensure that is paid.
A lot of person asks, if you cannot pay your 4 drivers 100,000, then why are you keeping 4? Why not keep 1? Well, that is a rhetorical question.
Well, that's true. Okay, the 4 drivers are paid by government, not even him. Because the employers are employed by government to serve him.
Oh, well.
So even saying that he cannot pay, he's talking as a private man, not as a man in public office.
All right.
So
this is Society Watch on Atlantic Television. We return after the short break.
We just vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Roads so no day. Light outside. The infrastructure it can't turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't call.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the Marketer Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract where we do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old things. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap him.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy wey they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer na I suppose pay that one. You remember say me I tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy am na.
Ogene, dem pay you money now. Wey we don dey beg caretaker, wey we dey beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time o. Money come now, you wan divert am. You sef na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadeyi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Welcome back if you're just joining us. This is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network, and now the rest of our story. Still on economy, Labour Party criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration for spending 4.3 trillion naira on palliatives and loans, claiming they haven't benefited the masses. They argue that the funds meant to ease the impacts of the fuel subsidy removal have not reached ordinary Nigerians. The party highlighted rising inflation and the lack of visible impacts from the palliatives. In contrast, the ruling All Progressives Congress defended their spending, arguing that unless there is a concrete evidence, it's unfair to claim the palliatives did not reach their intended target. They emphasized the importance of opposition in the democracy and suggested a review to ensure the effectiveness of the palliatives measures. The federal government has announced various palliatives measures, including cash distributions and the acquisition of gas-powered buses to mitigate the economic hardship caused by fuel subsidy removal. However, the Labour Party insists that these measures have not materialized for most Nigerians, urging the government to address the economic difficulties urgently. The APC acknowledged the opposition's roles in holding the government accountable, but maintained that their measures aim to alleviate the increase in hardship. Okay, we have been hearing about palliatives. It's not just yesterday. That was yesterday. No, that was on Friday.
Okay.
That we saw in the report where Tinubu is doing a whole lot to make sure that he'll alleviate this hardship in the country. Also fixing some roads and giving a sum of 50,000 to about 100 families in each community in a state. And we were wondering because just a particular community alone, one community is more than 150 families, is more than 100 families. And then we were wondering how that will alleviate the economic hardship caused by fuel subsidy removal. And this is it. The Labour Party are saying that there is no proof, no evidence that this 4.3 trillion has not gotten to ordinary Nigerians. The vulnerables have not even seen something talking about the ordinary Nigerians. So what do you think about their opinion concerning what the president has done so far to alleviate this economic hardship?
Well, in the first place, let's commend Mr. President. In the midst of all these economic challenges, they are still thinking of the people. But I think the people are thinking otherwise. Because if you look at what 4.3 trillion for palliatives, it's enough to use it to open cottage industries. You see, our thinking pattern about empowering the people must change from giving the feeding bottle strategy. And because of the processes they adopt, the agencies they set up to carry out palliatives, it has been said pedestrianly that it does not get to the targeted persons because government agencies are used. The way they get the, how will I put it, the targeted people at times are not sacrosanct, they're compromised. Some politicize it. There are some palliatives that went to places they gave to politicians from the world and all that level. And again, when it cascades to the world, some of the world, even people they are taking them, don't see it. Some people hijack them. There is no anybody really breathing down the throat to make sure that they targeted people. That is why people keep saying very confidently that they've not seen the impact. Because for you, the president has signed that money out. The report is getting is that we have done it. Nigerians are happy. But the real people who are poor, that want to alleviate their situation, don't get it. It is the same government officials, their relations, their, at times few people in their villages, and at times you begin to imagine whether they really procure those things.
Or do they really need these things?
Oh.
There are people cornering these goods.
No. The thing gets back to the market now. If you go to the market, some people even sell this palliative with the bags to buy. Some people, they take it back to, they just sell it to the people at cheaper rate. They rebag it and bring it to the market, and they say the people have taken it. They are just like they smuggle any other thing. There are a lot of people who don't have integrity. When these things are approved, they see it as their own way of survival. Their period of harvest has come. So there is so much integrity issues concerning the way the palliatives are being distributed and the channels. For instance, I'll tell you the last time they were giving many billion to governors and all that. If a governor is not seeing money, his state economy is bad, you give him that money. He could even divert it to other things and tell you he has done it. So you need to understand that there has to be a review of the processes of how these palliatives are administered. Some will tell you cannot come into my state except you pass it through me. If you set up a committee, most of the time the committees are compromised. They take order and work against the original targeted people. So that's why I think that a way of doing it to get to the people is, why don't you be cottage industries? Do, empowerment that the people can be involved. Then at the end, you empower them to go and use whatever you're giving to them to start a living. If you teach a man how to feed, you are feeding for a day. If you teach him how to, fend for himself, you have taught him for life.
But
feed him out.
Dr. Bomanuel, remember that the idea of these palliatives was to alleviate economic hardship caused by subsidy removal. And when you're talking about building industries, you know that is not a project that can come to reality within 2 months or 3 months. So do you think that the people would have been patient enough to wait for the period of time?
No. Okay, let me tell you about the CNG buses. Since Tinubu came and the subsidy was removed, so to say, they've been talking about CNG, but we have not seen it now.
Okay.
So have people died? If you are manufacturing even the bus from anywhere, wouldn't they have finished manufacturing? Is it a airplane? That's the same way we are talking.
Okay.
We are talking of long-term plan, because you cannot be bringing out that amount of money every year. It's because the people doing it, they don't think in a strategic manner that they really want to fight poverty. The fact is that you are alleviating something, you want to take a stopgap, just a remedial measure, does not mean the remedial measure cannot be concrete. For instance, it would have been easier for them if they spend 50 billion or 10 billion building an industry, create capacity. Do you know that what will come out from that industry alone continuously will be able to take care of a lot of people, subsidiary jobs, suppliers, all that, and it is well run. When you give them peanuts that don't even get to that, do you know that some of these palliatives, 5,000? The population of Nigeria eventually get to that. It's not even the 50,000. If you want to go and eat in any restaurant now, a good food, 5,000 cannot give you meal for 3 times. Because by the time you finish eating with water, in some cases it's close to 2,000. A good food. So but if you ask a man, even if he works and every day he earns about 5,000 naira, whether if he's a laborer or anything, and he looks forward to having that 5,000 every day, his life will change. He could decide to be doing this thrift, Akao, and be saving 2,000 every day, take 3,000 to his house. Before you know, he has a savings of close to 100,000 at the end of the month. So you organize his life At the time, he will be coming out of poverty. He will not be seeing himself as poor because that income is sustainable. Government must begin to think, in another pattern of alleviating poverty. Not this handout system that do not even get to the targeted people. If it was getting the one-time thing and all that, it's not getting to them. And the people are not feeling the impact. When they see all this on news, the president saying it, they just feel that it is just a wishful thinking. Because they don't feel it in any way, it does not get to them. But if they are going to get engaged, local government, in a particular act or trade, you can point to them that, look at what we have done. This place is giving you 10,000 naira every month. When you go, at least it's better than you are not earning anything. And you're also learning skills that you can still privately use. Look at the people who maintain our houses, plumbers, a lot of them like that. When they come at times, the amount they tell you, pay them for them to rectify this thing. Because they have been trained, they have an act. Those people will not wait for a stipend. So you turn out a lot of people like that to make them productive. They will even at times be contributing to the economy by paying taxes. So we must rethink and somehow reappraise our pattern. I'm not saying palliatives are not good, but in our system, because of the corruption and other things, and the unseriousness, it looked as if it has failed.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I'm sure they are listening and also watching you. Thank you so much, Doctor.
I just pray so.
All right, let's look at the last story for today. Australia has significantly increased visa fee for international students from €710 to €1,600 effectively, starting from July 1st. As part of effort to manage high immigration levels training from housing markets, Home Affairs Minister Clara O'Neill stated that the fee adjustments aim to restore integrity to the international education system and create a more manageable migration framework. Additionally, onshore application for student visas from visitor visas holders and temporary graduate visas holders are now prohibited. Dr. Bomonwo, what do you think about the increment increasing from $710 to $1,600 in order to restrict the inflow of students into their country?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think this will actually stop anything? Because when I was talking to someone behind the camera, the person said, for one to even have money to get to Australia, it means that the person is a middle class and it's not poor. So there's every tendency that if they raise it, they will still be able to raise. What do you think?
There's no problem about that. But I think it's a country that has strategic plans. I know Australia at the time, if they even had free visa, you can come in like that because they needed population.
Okay.
And I think many people entered that period. I know people who left Nigeria, worshiping even with me. They went with their wives and they were looking for those. There are people, when you give birth, then they even give you money. The state gives you money, up to $400,000. They encourage people to multiply their population. But I think that particular window they opened, people have used it to a point where they think there should be control, both in form of the citizens and also the student population. And you see, education should be qualitative. Apart from the money they can be making from the visa and they have made previously, they also want the education to be qualitative. The lecturer-student ratio, the facilities and all that. That's why you discover that if you go to some universities like glorify secondary school, because the equipment they need to educate, to equip the students are not even there. They are just managing, but they are saying, at the end they give degrees and all that. And you see, most of the graduates come back and relearn after they have graduated. And that is why I feel that what they are doing, if they are trying, their reason was that they want to discourage inflow of foreign students. And again, it means it's a strategic decision. If we continue the way they are coming in, at the time, it will affect our economy, it will affect the school system. So they have looked at something parochially to their nation, to in the interest of their nation and the educational sector in that place. And diplomatically too, for them to have increased it, apart from revenue. So if you can afford it, of course, you fall between the people that they need to come, so you will not be a liability. Most of these people, because the visa level is low and they are liberal, when they go in there, some of them cannot meet up again. They look for the state to help them. And at times, they resort to crime.
Okay.
So you don't know what has made them. They could have seen, what will I put, the negative, the inflow of the inflow. So let us somehow curtail it so that what we are seeing will not be consolidated. That's my thinking.
Okay.
Because no country will not want people to come in. Like even the US, they are very liberal about people coming in and going out. But if you see now, immigration issues are coming up even during their election. It's becoming an issue because of several people coming to earn livelihood in the nation. So they are looking at it as a serious issue now. I think that is a wave internationally. It's only in Nigeria, our borders are porous. We don't know foreigners that are in our country. Anybody can come through any route.
We are the giants of Africa.
So we are just like the Father Christmas of people who don't have a country. Every border is porous. You can walk in from Niger and enter to Castina. Walking from where this Cameroon and enter to Calabar, you just through a river. No, without a passport, without anything. So that has been the problem.
Well, we will soon do something about that. Thank you so much, Dr. Botman.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you for all your analysis. I do appreciate
no problem.
that.
We can do it again. I know that for some time we have not been here, and it's understandable. You will imagine what I was telling you with time. If I had my time today, none of the studios that I would have gone. But when you have become a part of things, like Jesus will say, if you had laid your hands on the plow, if you look back, you're not fit for the kingdom. So we are in. It's a privilege being with you, and we thank our viewers who has gone with us for the period that this program have persisted.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, our viewers. I am Immaculata Ivrikana. If you miss out, we have platforms for you to follow. You can join us on all our media platforms, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X Atlantic TV Net. You can also watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress.